The following is a video adaptation of a news summary that I posted on my website. Pine64's monthly news report is somewhat late this month. Consequently, I've decided to take it upon myself to produce an unofficial news report. As I don't have any insider Pine64 knowledge, this video will mainly focus on community updates. That said though, there's still a lot of exciting news to cover, so be sure to keep watching. First up, let's talk about the phone that everyone is pining for, the PinePhone. Actually, I suppose that joke would work with any of Pine64's products. Oh well. First, Mobian, a port of Debian for the PinePhone, has announced that it's now offering an experimental kernel that works on both the PinePhone and the PinePhone Pro. As far as I can tell, both devices should benefit from a shared codebase. It's great to see the PinePhone Pro come such a long way in such a relatively short period of time. Thanks to Awai and Undef for their work on this kernel. Next up in PinePhone news, Sailfish OS now has a camera app that works on the PinePhone. Surely great news for your every Instagram cat pic needs. Sailfish OS has generally been making huge strides towards being daily drivable on the PinePhone. This month, the camera was enabled. Not long after that, an app called Pinhole was developed to let end users take advantage of these changes. As you can see, the results are quite impressive. As far as I'm concerned, Sailfish OS is an uncomplicated operating system that anyone can get to grips with. Now that it has camera support, among other things, it should be a good choice for people who want a simple and uncomplicated PinePhone experience. Thanks to Adam Pig for enabling the camera on Sailfish OS. Next, let's talk some PineTab. The PineTab 2 hasn't even been released yet, and we're already seeing major strides in hardware support for the device. For instance, Pine64 have recently demoed video output working. As someone who frequently uses this feature on my iPad, it's great to know that I'll be able to use it with my PineTab 2 as well. I also think that this feature really opens up the possibility of using the PineTab 2 as a laptop replacement, as it could be docked to the desk. Really, the PineTab 2 does have a bright future ahead of it. Now, let's talk about the PineBook. Recently, RISC OS has been ported to the device. RISC OS is an interesting operating system quite unlike any other. It's designed from the ground up for limited instruction set computers, and it has quite a long and interesting history that dates back to the 1980s and Acorn computers. Unlike Linux, which is just a kernel, RISC OS is a complete operating system with a GUI and several basic applications. It also has its own app store, complete with numerous applications for you to download and try out. Furthermore, the operating system should be quite fast, as the kernel is written entirely in highly efficient ARM assembly. Anyone interested in trying out this interesting detour from Linux can now install it on their PineBook or A64 single board computer thanks to an alpha image available for those devices that has been released recently. PineBook Pro owners also have a lot to look forward to, as is an image for the RK3399 SoC being worked on that'll be released in the near future. Just, if you do happen to use RISC OS, don't tell Tux. You won't believe what kind of a state a jealous penguin can get into. And here comes my favourite part of the video, the part where we talk about the PineBuds Pro, because I love headphones. Last month, the PineBuds Pro were released. They're excellent buds that provide great sound quality and features at an excellent price. This month, several developers have already made the PineBuds Pro better by developing open firmware for the buds. Two examples of this are Little Buddy and the PineBuds open source SDK. One of those names is catchier than the other. Both of these projects support most of the main features on the PineBuds Pro, though there are some features currently lacking, most notably ANC. However, if you're a brave PineBuds Pro owner who refuses to use any non-free software, these firmwares might be for you. Finally, before we start with some miscellaneous news, let's talk about the OX64. For those who don't know, The OX64 is Pine64's first RISC-V single-board computer. It isn't remotely intended for everyday tasks, and as far as I'm aware, it occupies a similar position in the market as the Raspberry Pi Pico. However, several exciting use cases may have just opened up for the device as developer Thanos the Tank Engine, which has to be the best name ever, has recently got video output working. Personally, and I don't know if this is possible, I'd be interested in seeing some sort of OX64 retro gaming handheld. To finish off this video, I'm going to talk about some news that doesn't really fit anywhere else. Manjaro have recently shipped hardware video decoding for Rockchip devices to end users. That means that users of all Pine64 devices can benefit from hardware video decoding. That should be helpful to any owners of lower-end Pine64 devices that can often struggle to play high-resolution video. The only downside to this is that it requires you to install custom builds of MPV or Kodi. With all that said, it's been an exciting month for Pine64. I'm not sure if I'll have to make one of these news flashes again next month, but be sure to stay tuned just in case I do. With that said though, as always, I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.